how can two homes in San Clemente have such a drastic difference in cost when you buy and after you buy? Well, it has nothing to do with mortgage, but everything to do with property taxes, Mello-Roos, HOA, and a fee that most buyers don't even know about. Today, we're going to take a look at both of these properties and see where that difference comes from. Stay tuned until the end to find out how these hidden fees might affect your next purchase. Now let's take a look at both of these homes. First, we have this property in Talega. It's priced at $2 million, and one of the biggest draws of Talega is the lifestyle. Parks, trails, sports facilities, community facilities, and all the things that come by living in a master plan community. Then we've got this home in Rancho San Clemente, also priced at $2 million. So from a purchase price standpoint, there's essentially no difference. $2 million versus $2 million. But let's take a look at what actually happens when you buy one of these properties. First, we have the HOA, which there really isn't much of a difference. The Talega property has a HOA of about $267, and the Rancho San Clemente property with a HOA of approximately $203. So only a difference of about $64 a month, but that's of course not where the big difference comes from. The big difference is when we start talking about Mello-Roos and property taxes. So what exactly is Mello-Roos? Mello-Roos is essentially a special tax charged to properties within a community facilities district. These districts were created under California's Mello-Roos Act of 1982 and can be used to help finance things like roads, schools, parks, public safety, utilities, and other public facilities or services. So if you're buying a home that's in a community with Mello-Roos, you're paying an additional special tax on top of your regular property taxes. And so Mello-Roos isn't based on the value of your home. The special tax is determined according to the formula established for that particular district. Depending on the district, that can involve things like the size of the property, square footage, the number of bedrooms, or other factors. In Orange County, you'll typically see these charges reflected on your property tax bill under the special assessment section. So in this case, on this property tax bill, you can see the owner is paying about $4,252 a year in Mello-Roos. And that works out roughly to $354 a month. And so you're probably asking, why does Mello-Roos even exist? Here's the basic idea. When a new community is being built, there's a huge amount of infrastructure and facilities that need to come along with it. Instead of the entire cost being paid up front by the developer or existing taxpayers, a community facilities district can issue bonds and then collect a special tax from the properties within that district to help pay these costs. So Mello-Roos isn't essentially a bad thing. You're paying for the infrastructure and services for the community. So this is where things really get interesting. The Talega property has approximately $4,252 in Mello-Roos every year. That's about $354 a month. And when you include the HOA, it's about $621 a month. So before we even talk about property taxes, the homeowner for this property is looking at about $621 a month between the HOA and Mello-Roos. Now, when we compare this to the Rancho San Clemente property, there is no Mello-Roos and the HOA is about $203 a month. So when we get to the Rancho San Clemente property, there's a couple special assessment charges in there that add up to about $21 a month. So take $621, take away $224, and you're left with $397 a month. That's a difference of approximately $397 a month. Multiply that by 12 months, you're looking at $4,764 every month. So even though you're buying two properties in San Clemente at the same cost of $2 million, you're looking at $4,764 every year in difference between the two properties. And that's before we even get to the rest of the property tax bill. If you like videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out our community pages on our website that take a deep dive into what it is like living here in our beach cities. Now let's talk about that surprise cost. So there's another cost here that makes this comparison even more interesting. Talega has what is called a lifestyle fee. The fee is about 0.25% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $2 million home, this fee is about $5,000. So you're potentially looking at another $5,000 at closing if you buy a home in Talega. And this, of course, is different to the Mello-Roos cost that we just spoke about. Mello-Roos is an annual cost. The lifestyle fee is a one-time payment when you buy the property. Now, I don't want to make Talega sound like it's more expensive for no reason. There's a reason many buyers choose to live in Talega versus other parts of San Clemente. You're paying for a lifestyle. There's pools, parks, trails, sports facilities, community amenities, and the overall master plan community environment. So if these amenities are important to you and you're actually going to use them, that additional cost may absolutely be worth it. So the point isn't that is one better than the other. The point is that the costs are different. This is why I think this is such an important thing for buyers to understand. When you're looking at $2 million homes, it's easy to think about just the cost of the mortgage associated with those homes. Can I afford the $2 million? But that is only a part of the equation. You need to ask, what's the property taxes? What's the Mello-Roos? What's the HOA? Are there any special assessments? Are there any transfer or resale fees? Because those costs can change drastically between homes that cost the same purchase price wise. And this is why when I'm working with buyers, I want to see the tax bill, because that's where you're going to find the Mello-Roos, special assessments, and other charges that don't necessarily jump out at you when you're looking on Zillow or any other listing website. And when you're spending $2 million on a home, these aren't insignificant numbers. And here's another way to look at it, the 10-year perspective. $4,764 might not sound like a lot when you're buying a $2 million home, but over 10 years, that's over $47,000. That's before we even take into consideration that lifestyle fee that you need to pay. So which property should you buy? That really depends on you. If I really wanted the Talega lifestyle and I was going to take advantage of those amenities and the community that it brings, I might be perfectly comfortable paying those extra costs. But if I'm comparing them both and I like them both equally, and it comes down to just a cost thing, then you might favor Rancho San Clemente. But the true lesson here isn't so much about these two properties. It's about knowing what you're getting into, knowing that just because in this community it costs the same in another, the true costs of ownership might be drastically different. So next time you're looking at 2 different properties or 3 different properties in Orange County, make sure to not just look at the purchase price, look past that, look at the Mello-Roos, look at the property tax bill, look at the HOA, see if there are any additional community fees. Learn more about the community. Make sure that there's no special assessments within the neighborhood that are coming up that haven't been decided on yet. Because sometimes the biggest cost isn't the one you see on a listing, it's the one you don't.